If you have ever fished a rocky bottom, you know the feeling. You cast, the sinker drops, and within 30 seconds, you're pulling straight up against the rocks with nothing moving. You try a few angles, you try some slack, you try patience. Eventually, you break the line and lose the whole rig. You tie another one, you cast again, and in 3 minutes, the exact same thing happens on the exact same spot. I have been on water where I lost 7 rigs in a single morning across the same 40-foot stretch of rocky bottom. Each one cost a few minutes to replace and $2 to $3 in tackle. By 10 in the morning, I had spent more time retying than actually fishing. That is not bad luck, and it is not technique failure. That is the result of using the wrong setup for the conditions. The physics of a conventional sinker on rocky bottom work against you from the moment the weight hits the water. A conventional sinker is designed to hold position on the bottom. On soft mud or sand, that is exactly what you want. On rocky bottom, every small wave and every current variation pushes the sinker slightly deeper into the gaps between the rocks. Once it seats in a gap even a few inches deep, it locks. You are not pulling out a snagged rig, you are pulling against rock. The line breaks at whatever its weak point is, and you lose everything. And the result on rocky bottom is always the same. Broken line, lost rig, wasted time, and 0 fish. Tackle shops have known about this problem as long as they have operated. They have also known about the solution for exactly that long. They sell you replacement rigs instead of the setup that removes the problem, because one permanent fix is far less profitable than daily replacement sales. The setup that solves this completely costs about $3 total. Professional fishing guides who charge $500 a day use it because they cannot afford to spend client time untangling rigs from rocks. Each stuck rig costs several minutes of paid session time. Over a full day on rocky water, that adds up to real loss in productive fishing time and in client satisfaction. So guides learn the rig that prevents the problem entirely, and they use it every time they are on rocky structure. It is called a slip float rig, and it has been standard on professional boats for decades, while tackle shop tutorials keep showing beginners the conventional sinker setup that sends them back to the shop regularly. Here is how the slip float rig works at the basic level. Instead of dropping the sinker down to the rocky bottom, you suspend the bait at the correct depth using a float above it. The sinker hangs in the water column below the float. Your bait presents at the exact depth where the fish are holding. Nothing in the rig touches the rocky bottom at all. Nothing wedges itself into the gaps between the rocks. Nothing in the rig gets stuck, and nothing gets lost. The float drifts with the current in a completely natural way, presenting the bait as if it were moving freely through the water column. That is one of the most effective presentations for the species that hold near rocky structure throughout the season. The same current that used to drag your sinker into rock gaps now carries your float and bait through the productive zone at a pace that trout, catfish, crappie, and bluegill respond to. Before I walk through the exact component list and the assembly sequence, the kind of consistent result that guides build their reputation on requires more than just having the right rig assembly. It requires understanding where fish hold near rocky structure, what current positions produce strikes and which ones produce empty drifts, and how conditions throughout the day shift where the fish are located. Module 4, Inside the Angler's Vault, covers reading water in full detail, including how to identify the productive zones around rocky structure. Module 6 covers smart gear selection for every condition. Scan the QR code in the top left corner of your screen, or click the first link waiting in the description below. Stay here because the assembly has 6 steps in a specific sequence, and skipping or reversing any step changes how the rig functions. The 6 components you need are available at any tackle shop or online for a combined cost of about $3. Your main line should be rated at 15 pounds test, a wide bend hook sized to the species you're targeting, an inline sinker matched to your current conditions, a small plastic bead with a hole through the center, a standard 2-hole barrel swivel for connecting sections, a Bobberstopper that slides and locks on the main line, and a slip float with a center channel running through it. Each component has a specific function in the system, and understanding what each one does makes it easier to troubleshoot if the rig is not behaving the way it should. The Bobberstopper is the component that most beginners skip or misuse. It is the small rubber or thread piece that slides onto your main line and locks securely at any position you push it to. That stopper position is what sets your fishing depth. Without it, the float slides freely down to the sinker and you lose all depth control over the presentation. With it placed correctly, the float rides at a set position above the sinker, keeping the bait suspended at exactly the depth you want. The bead sits between the Bobberstopper and the float, protecting the knot on the stopper from being damaged every time the float slides up during a cast or a retrieve. That is a detail most beginner tutorials leave out, but it is the reason the stopper lasts through a full season, instead of fraying and failing after a few sessions. Understanding what each component does before assembly means you know exactly what you're doing and exactly why, which is the difference between a rig that performs and one that looks assembled correctly, but fails in use. Here is the assembly sequence, step by step, in the order that matters. Step 1. Slide the Bobberstopper onto your main line. Thread the line through the small loop on the stopper package, pull the stopper onto the line, and slide it to your desired depth position. Push the stopper firmly so it grips the line without sliding freely. You do not tie anything here, you just slide and press. Step 2. Slide the small bead onto the main line below the stopper. The bead sits directly between the stopper and the float. When you cast, the float rises toward the stopper, and the bead takes the impact instead of the stopper knot. This is the step that makes the stopper last through a full season. Step 3. Slide the slip float onto the main line. The float has a hollow channel through the center. Thread the line through that channel and let the float hang freely. The float will now slide along the line between the bead and the sinker. Step 4. Tie the inline sinker directly to the main line below the float. Use an improved clinch knot to complete this connection. Thread the line through the sinker eye, wrap 5 times around the main line, bring the tag end through the front loop and back through the large loop, and pull the completed knot tight against the sinker eye. Clip the remaining tag end close to the finished knot. Step 5. Attach a short leader line below the sinker using the swivel. Tie one end of the swivel to the sinker end of the main line using the same improved clinch knot used on the sinker. Tie your leader line to the other end of the swivel. The leader length should be 12 to 18 inches. Lighter leader line is less visible to the fish and produces more strikes in clear water than heavy line does at the same presentation. Step 6. Tie the wide bend hook to the end of the leader. Use the improved clinch knot here as you did before. That 6-step sequence completes the full rig assembly. Now how to set the depth correctly before you start fishing. Slide the Bobberstopper position up or down the main line until the float is riding fully upright in the water. An upright float means the sinker is hanging suspended above the bottom. A float that tilts sideways means the sinker is touching the bottom and the bait is resting on or very near the rocks. You want the float upright, and then you want to back the stopper up just slightly so the bait hangs a few inches above the rock structure. That is the zone where the fish are holding, not on the rocks but near them. Cast into the rocky area and let the float drift naturally with the current. Do not force the drift or attempt to fight the current. The natural movement presents the bait in a way that looks like real food, and that natural presentation is what triggers the strike. Give the line a small twitch every 30 to 45 seconds to add subtle movement to the bait without killing the drift. When the float goes under, set the hook immediately. Retrieve with steady, consistent pressure, not sharp pulls. On rocky water, sharp pulls can bounce the line against the rocks even on the retrieve, so steady, consistent pressure brings the fish in clean. The three most common errors anglers make with this rig are the ones that show up in the first few sessions before the rig becomes habit. First, placing the Bobberstopper too close to the float. Leave at least 12 inches of line between the stopper position and where the float sits when the sinker is hanging below it. That spacing is what gives the sinker room to hang freely. A stopper placed too close compresses the system and changes how the rig acts in ways that are difficult to diagnose without knowing what to look for. Second, not checking the float position before fishing. Always confirm the float is riding upright in the water before you commit to casting through a productive zone. If the float is tilting, the sinker is on the bottom, the bait is resting on or near the rocks, and the snag problem is not solved. 2 minutes of adjustment at the bank saves the whole session. Third, pulling hard when you feel resistance on the retrieve. On rocky water, resistance could be a fish or a brief brush against rocks. Steady, constant pressure tells the difference without breaking the rig. If it is a rock contact, steady pressure will usually clear it. If it is a fish, steady pressure keeps the hook seated correctly. Sharp pulls in either case produce the worst possible outcome. The slip float rig is what guides use on rocky water every day. It costs $3 in components, takes about 10 minutes to learn, and removes the single biggest source of frustration on rocky structure for beginners and experienced anglers alike. If you want the full system for reading water and finding where fish hold around rocky structure and other productive bottom features, Module 4 inside the Angler's Vault walks through it completely. Module 6 covers the smart gear setup for every freshwater condition. Scan the QR code in the top left corner of your screen, or click the first link waiting in the description below. The complete system is waiting for you inside the Angler's Vault.